Dear students, in the previous session we have discussed about the concept of silkworm rearing and process of silkworm rearing. So, in this session let me introduce you to the post-cocoon technology, defining rearing, enumerating the techniques involved in rearing, describing cocoon stifling and preservation, explaining skinning and so on. Sericulture industry comprises of cultivation of mulberry, rearing of silkworm and silk reeling. Cultivation of mulberry and rearing of silkworm comprises the pre-cocoon activities. Silk technology includes all activities from processing of cocoons for reeling the cocoons up to weaving of silk fabric. Sericulture, which is not only a tradition but also a living culture, is a farm based, labor intensive and commercially attractive economic activity falling under the cottage and small scale sector. So, reeling process is a vital link in converting the cocoon into industrial output yarn. Post-cocoon technology. The factors influencing productivity and quality of raw silk are the quality of raw material, the process parameters, machineries, a human skill and quality of water. Selection of cocoons. Quality of cocoon influences the productivity in silk reeling and raw silk quality. The important commercial characteristic of the cocoon are uniformity in size, shape, shell thickness, compactness, wrinkles on the cocoons, reliability, filament strength, single cocoon filament denier and shell ratio. Stifling or drying. The objectives of drying are to kill the pupa in order to prevent the pupa from transforming into moth and come out of the cocoon by piercing the cocoon, to remove the moisture content in the cocoon, that is pupa, to an optimum level, then to provide desired restraint in reeling of filament from the cocoon. Then sun drying, steam stifling and hot air drying are the known methods of stifling the green cocoons. Hot air drying can be done in a batch type hot air dryer or Ushnakoti. The procedure to be adapted for drying of cocoons in a batch type hot air dryer is described here. The temperature at 115 degrees Celsius we have to keep for 1 hour, at 100 degrees Celsius we have to keep for 1 hour, at 85 degrees Celsius we have to keep for 1 hour, at 70 degrees Celsius we have to keep for 1 hour and at 55 degrees Celsius we have to keep for 1 hour. The optimum degree of drying is decided based on the shell ratio of the sample cocoons using a simple formula. The optimum degree of drying in terms of percentage equal to 100 minus shell ratio divided by 4 plus shell ratio in percentage. The cocoon storage room shall be maintained at a temperature and a relative humidity not exceeding 25 degrees Celsius and 58% relative humidity respectively, so that the fungus attack on the cocoon is prevented. Cocoon cooking is a process in which water is made to penetrate from outside to inside and inside to outside cocoon shell. The objectives of cooking are to soften the sericin uniformly, to unwind cocoon filament uniformly, to give better productivity, to ensure better raw silk recovery. The cocoons are cooked in 2 pan using cocoon cooking cage following low temperature principle for about 5 to 7 minutes and the ends are grouped. The temperature and duration profile is summarized. First cooking pan at 60 to 70 degrees Celsius for 60 to 90 seconds. Second cooking pan at 90 degrees Celsius to 93 degrees Celsius for 90 to 120 seconds. First cooking pan 65 degrees Celsius to 70 degrees Celsius for 60 to 90 seconds. Second cooking pan at 96 to 97 degrees Celsius for 90 to 120 seconds. So, steam supply second pan stopped and the cold water is sprinkled over the cocoons and transferred directly to the pan. Then brushing and end grouping is done. So, brushing is not an operation in which correct ends from the cooked cocoons are grouped to facilitate reeling. So, proper brushing reduces waste generation. In manual brushing, the cocoons are brushed in the cooking pan itself with the help of a bamboo stick or paddy straw. So, mechanical brushing is suitable multi-end reeling machine. During brushing operation, temperature should be in the range of 80 to 85 degree Celsius. Reeling and re-reeling techniques. Sink reeling is simply the unwinding of filaments from a group of cocoons in hot water bath reel. So, there are two methods of reeling: direct reeling method on standard reels, indirect method which include the preliminary reeling on small sized reels and transferring reeled silk directly from the reels to standard sized reels on re-reeling machines. Before reeling, cocoons have to pass various stages and production of quality silk depends upon various factors. Selection of cocoons must be done carefully, as any carelessness in this respect would spell serious losses to the reeling enterprises. Selective purchase of cocoon in the open market is extremely difficult and becomes imperfect, particularly in the absence of determined standards of quality for cocoons and standard methods of testing for classifying cocoon into quality grades. Cocoon should not be too flossy. A floss merely adds to the weight of cocoons when yielding silk for reeling. Cocoons should have well rounded and firm ends and must not have too pronounced points. Well pointed ends are easy to detect because of their shape. Thin ends can be detected by the higher shade of color at the end, which when processed yields readily. When floss is peeled off the cocoons, the surface must be fine grained and not deeply wrinkled. Reeling. Raw silk reeling is a process of combining number of ends of the cocoon filaments together to form a single thread of desired denier. Silk reeling in India is carried out on a variety of reeling devices, say charka, cottage basin and multi-end reeling machines. Charka, simultaneous process of reeling, primitive device made of locally available materials, no specification of device, no control over reel bath temperature. Cocoon number cannot be maintained, very little floor space. 50 to 60% of raw silk production in India is from charka method. Cottage basin. This method, sequential process of reeling is done. Development over charka. Have specification, example, reel speed, 6 reels per basin is maintained. Crochet intertwining of yarn from basin to reel, traverse distributor, uniform distribution of yarn over the reel with multi-end reeling machines, provision of jet about end gathering device, individual reel stop motion device, 10 reels per basin is maintained. The check points for multi-end reeling machine or maintain of required number of cocoons, maintenance of reeling basin water temperature, proper buttonhole size, crochet length, proper reeling speed, mechanical conditions of the machine and reeling tension against the standard. The standards for multi-end reeling machine. Reel speed is 100 to 120 meter per minute. Crusher length is 8 to 10 centimeter. Reeling basin water temperature is 40 degrees Celsius. Good quality reeling button with appropriate hole size. Water requirement for different operations are: cocoon cooking part 7%, reeling part 66%, re-reeling part 1%, boiler 9%, others 17%. Standards for water quality for reeling are: pH at room temperature 7, pH at boiling 8.6, acidity ppm 1, alkalinity ppm 50, total hardness ppm 80, electric conductivity in micron 70. Small reel parameters. Wetting of raw silk on small reels before re-reeling is very essential for better re-reeling performance. This process softens the gum spots between the silk threads on the small reel and facilitates smooth unwinding. Different silk reeling devices with economics. There are three distinct reeling devices in mulberry sector, namely chakka is a crude system of reeling. It's a simple hand driven device consisting of a large cooking gum reeling pan where boiling water is kept. Cottage basin system. It is improved over chakka. It consists of separate cooking and reeling basin where temperature is at boiling point only in the cooking basin, but reeling basin temperature is hardly 40 degrees Celsius. Multi-end basin system. It is a further improved version over the cottage basin and it is power driven. Boilers are installed and steam is used for cooking and reeling purpose and also for cooking cocoon stiffling in the special steam chambers. Re-reeling. Re-reeling is to transfer the raw silk reeled on small wheels to a large wheel of 1.5 meter circumference for adjusting width, weight and length of the skein uniformly. The other important objectives of re-reeling are to eliminate gum spots in the reeled silk, to remove excess moisture, to the up any loose ends to form continuous thread, to eliminate thin places and to ensure smooth and efficient operation during the winding process. The spread of re-reeling machine is 150 rpm. Re-reeling is done to transfer the raw silk into standard sized hanks. The grand reeling technique helps in finding the broken ends at the thread and also knotting. In grand reeling, the hank is divided into several parts which can be kept separately by means of lacing. The ratios of the bevels determine the width of the diamond. For a finer denier silk, more number of teeth has to be used. Re-reeling speed is almost double the reeling speed. So, one end re-reeling will be enough to take the input of two end reeling, that is 13 bar 24 bevel combination will produce 13 diamonds. Silk reeling is simply the unwinding of filaments from a group of cocoons in hot water bath onto a reel. There are two methods of reeling. One is direct reeling method on standard reels, indirect method which includes preliminary reeling on small sized reels and transferring the reeled silk directly from a reel to standard sized reels on re-reeling machines. Systems of reeling. There are two systems of reeling cocoons, floating system, another is sunken system. In floating system, the cocoons are cooked only to the extent of shell becomes wet, but is still impervious to water, so that they float in water when the cooked cocoons are put into the reeling basin. Then floating system is associated with reeling of cooked cocoons which float in reeling basin, high speed reeling, high basin temperature, less number of reeling ends Sunken system of reeling, the cooked cocoons sink in water at the time of reeling. In this system, not only the shell is cooked, but the cocoon also gets filled with water inside the extent of 97 to 98%. With the result, the cocoon becomes heavy and sinks in the reeling water. So, this system of reeling is associated with reeling of cooked cocoons which sink underwater in reeling basin, slow speed reeling, low basin in temperature reeling, large number of reeling ends. This system is suitable for superior quality cocoons like bivoltine. Some prominent steps in re-reeling are silk finishing, lacing, skeinin, bookmaking, packing, winding, doubling, twisting, degumming, bleaching, weaving and dyeing. Silk finishing. Re-reeled raw silk needs to be bundled and packed to facilitate transportation as a commodity for raw silk users' convenience. Lacing. The silk skeins should be laced at 6 places using cotton thread in a form of figure 8, so that the coils of raw silk will be retained without entanglement. Skeining. The laced silk in the form of hanks is made into skeins using skeining machines. Skeining is done by two methods, that is small skeining, twisted and folded type with one and arranged in a form like a flower, and long skeining, twisted and unfolded type. Bookmaking. Bookmaking is a process in which raw silk skeins are bundled for convenient handling. Small skeins are made into 2 kg books and long skeins are made into 5 kg books. Packing. In case of small skeins, 20 kg bale are prepared, and in case of long skein, 60 kg bales are prepared. Winding. Winding is a process of putting the raw silk in the form of hanks onto the bobbins. The winding process converts the raw silk into a suitable package, facilitating further process of doubling and throwing. Doubling. Doubling is a process whereby 2 or more threads from the winding bobbins are placed parallel and wound into one bobbin in order to facilitate twisting together of these yarns. Twisting. The twisting machines used for silk are uptwisters, and the doubling bobbins are placed on the spindle, rotating at a very high speed of about 8000 to 10,000 rpm. The yarn passes through the traveler or flyer guide and the transverse guide on to the perforated bobbins placed on the take-up roller. The level of twist is expressed as twist per meter (TPM) or twists per inch (TPI). The degumming. Silk filament, that is bow, consists of 2 brins held together by sericin. The composition of fibroin and sericin are shown here. Component and percentage. Fibroin 70 to 80%, sericin 20 to 30%, waxy matter 0.4 to 0.7%, carbohydrate about 1.2% and inorganic matter about 0.7%, pigments 0.2 to 0.5%. So, degumming is a process of eliminating gum, that is sericin, from raw silk. The recipe for degumming is pH 9.5 to 10.5, soap 5 gram per liter, soda 1 gram per liter, duration of boiling 45 to 60 minutes, material liquor ratio 1:30, then hot wash the treated material for 10 to 15 minutes, wash in cold water. Bleaching. Bleaching is a process of removing the color matter in order to produce pure white material. Bleaching can be done using reducing agents, example sodium hydrosulfide, hydrose or oxidizing agents, example hydrogen peroxide. So, recipe of hydrogen peroxide bleaching process is hydrogen peroxide 30%, 6 gram per liter, sodium silicate 1.5 gram per liter, soda ash 0.5 gram per liter, temperature 89 degrees Celsius, time of 2 hours, material liquor ratio 1:30. Dyeing, the different types of dyes are used are acetic dyes, metal complex dyes, reactive dyes, direct dyes and basic dyes. Use soft water cleaned steel vessels with copper bottom, standard dye materials. Use hydro extractor for the removal of excess water. Weaving. Weaving is a process of interlacing of warp, that is lengthwise, parallel arrangement of yarns and weft widthwise interlacing yarns. Then weaving is done in hand loom or power loom. The three primary motions in weaving are shedding, separating the warp threads into two layers to form a funnel known as shed, picking, passing the weft thread through the shed, beating up, pushing the newly inserted length of weft yarn into the already woven fabric. The secondary motion are warp let off and cloth taken up dobby, jacquard or attachments for making designs. Dobby is used for simple border and jacquard for intricate designs. Transporting technique. The selected cocoons must be transported safely in perforated bamboo baskets or in loosely packed plastic crates and must be transported during the cool hours. Packing the cocoons tightly and transporting them in the hot sun must always be avoided. Cocoon stifling and preservation. Cocoons in their fresh condition with the pupae alive in them cannot be stored for a long time, as the living pupae are soon transformed into moths. They are unless for reeling raw silk, because the continuity of the wave in them is broken. Reeling cocoons therefore have to be subjected to a process of stifling, with the objective of killing the pupae inside without any way interfering with the structure of the silk shell around it. Cocoons can be stifled by several methods, but the proper method of reeling industry are sun drying, steam stifling and hot air conditioning. Preservation. Storage of cocoon is an important problem, especially when the stilled cocoons have to be stored for a very long period. Complete desiccation of cocoon is fairly satisfactory solution to the problem, but even fully desiccated cocoons are liable to mold damage if the storage room is kept dry. The other source of damage to cocoons in storage comes from the beetle pest, Dermatus lordarius. The following measures have to be followed for preservation of cocoons. Complete desiccation of cocoon before storing should be ensured. All care should be taken to see that the relative humidity in the storeroom does not exceed 70%. The storeroom must have good ventilation. Cocoons should be given regular and frequent turnings during the period of storage, and on no account should they be allowed to become damp. When fumigants are used, care should be taken to keep the doors and windows open until all the traces of fumigants are removed. Skinning. So, the standard size hangs from the sift are carefully examined for defects if any. It is faced and folded upon itself to form a skein with the help of skinning machine. The weight of the skeins varies from 50 gram to more than 100 gram. The skeins of raw silk are then made into books and bales or marketed later. Uses of the byproducts. During the process of mulberry silk reeling, different qualities of mulberry silk waste are obtained as byproducts. They are waste from cocoons, flowers are blazed, spileza, then Cuba, Japan, discarded cocoons, pierced, double stained, etc. Floss or blaze, floss silk or blaze, also known as bora, is the first part of the bave extruded by the worm for the framework of the cocoon. Most of it is removed from the cocoons during their collection and rest while sorting. This can be used for noil spinning. Discarded cocoon, this includes all cocoons found to be unreliable during sorting. Double cocoons, which are jointly formed by the combination of two worms in the same shell and which, due to the interlocking of the continuous filaments, cannot be reeled along the good cocoons. These cocoons are also employed for reeling dubion silk. So, inferior cocoons, improperly built cocoons and those deformed in shape, and also melted cocoons and other cocoons which become unfit for reeling due to some reasons or the other. A reeling waste, it may be filature, cottage basin or charka silk waste, winding waste, re-reeling, winding or throwers waste, weaving waste or hard waste. Presently, silk is produced mainly using three reeling technologies, namely charka, cottage basin and domestic basin. The multi-end reeling technology in the country, about 50% of silk is produced is through charka and about 35 to 40% is of cottage basin and small quantity is from the multi-end reeling machine. Due to inherent inadequacies in charka, it is not possible to produce good quality silk, even though the cottage basin produces better quality silk compared to charka. It still falls short of international grade. The main reason why charka is still dominating is that the bulk of raw silk produced is used by handloom sector, wherein the cost factor of raw material has to be kept low. Poor quality cocoon can only be reeled economically on charka. In order to achieve better reeling performance, following have to be considered. Casting of cocoon should be such that raw silk of uniform denier is obtained. The broken and during reeling has to be knotted to improve the winding quality. Water has to be changed after it became turbid to improve reeling performance and color of the silk. Water quality has to be maintained to get clean silk. Motorized charka to maintain uniform reeling speed and reduce labor cost is a must. CSRTI economic woven reduces fuel cost. Drying during reeling to reduce gum spots is important. Silk waste should be stretched, dried and stored properly. Conclusion. In this session, we have discussed the post-cocoon technology, reeling and re-reeling techniques and cocoon stiffling and preservation procedures. We have also discussed about skinning. To summarize, in India, the state government plays an important role in marketing the cocoon by forming centralized marketing federations. The rearer and the buyer enroll their names as members of the marketing federation by paying a nominal membership fee to the marketing officer who presides over the marketing operation. After examining the cocoon characters, the minimum price of the cocoon is fixed and sold by auction. During auction, the price may rise above the fixed price by bidding. If there are no bidders, the federation itself buys them at the fixed rate and sends them to government owned reeling units. The federation gets certain nominal commissions from both the buyers and the sellers on the amount transacted. Care should be taken to see that the cocoon are not subjected to too much of jolting and direct exposure to violent changes in climate during transport. After harvesting, the cocoon must be marketed before moth emerges. Thank you.